Yo, what's up guys? I'm here hitting you up with a new video. Today we talk about Ethan. I got him to R2 on the test server. I also max skilled him and I max ascended him. So basically for Ethan he gets attack, HP, and then HP plus 10%, he gets speed plus 7 and resistance plus 20% are his ascensions. He has decent base speed of 102, nothing too crazy. And I tested him a bit in the VR battlegrounds. And when we look at his skills, his skill 3 has a 4-turn cooldown once maxed out, and basically all Ethan offers is his silver buff. It's not a gold buff, it's a silver buff. You gain crit rate and crit damage plus 20%. Then you get the crit resist, which is a 30% reduction, and base speed plus 20. His skill 2 is basically an AoE defense break. He hits 3 times, 60% chance to land it, and he lands his panic view. I cannot remember what it was in English. And basically what it does is if you kill a target or they remove the debuff, their skill cooldown will be increased by 1 turn. And his skill 1 is basically a hit 1 and do nothing. The only thing you get is for, like, if you have him R0, it's a 20% AP reduction. If you have him R1, it's a 30% AP reduction. And also if the enemies are inflicted with the debuff, with the panic view, then you can stun them. And if he has the magic melody, they cannot resist the effect. But the issue with that is you have to apply the debuff, and then Ethan has to get another turn with his S1 to actually make use of his stun. And so I tested him a little bit. With Rezo 2, you have the 1 turn buff, right? So you basically your whole team gets a crit rate increase, a crit damage increase, crit resist, and a speed plus 20. His S3 buffs up the magic melody by 2 turns, and you get immunity for 2 turns. That's what his skill 3 does. And with his S2 you get a defense break. So I actually tested him quite a bit to see what he can do, but the thing is, I wanted to make a dedicated video about him, and I thought when I read the patch notes, by the way, I will link the info card. I don't know if it's up there or up there, I don't know exactly, to the patch note video I made. So if you didn't see that, you can check it out. The main issue I have with Ethan is that he has a crit lead for PvE content. So it's for story mode, Infinite Miracle, and Calamity Island. And crit lead, in my opinion, at this point in DISLYTE is a meme captain ability. It really doesn't do anything. And his set basically has potential, but the issue is he's limited because his captain ability is bad. If he had a speed lead, I would say he's very, very strong, a very, very strong unit. But because he has no speed lead, it makes him kinda underwhelming, because there's literally no way you can use Ethan properly for, let's say, holo battle or PvP, for example. Also, just to show you, there's this new feature, quick battle. So it works like this: you did your 5 battles, then you enable the quick battle. So you press the button, boom, victory. That's how quick battle works. So it doesn't matter if you have cleave, tank, whatever. It's just skip to win at this point. But the main issue with Ethan is, if you want to use him in a cleave team, for example, I give more examples for that. You basically have to sacrifice a slot. Let's assume you want to run a speed leader, so you get maximum speed boost, right? So you have, let's say, Ollie, Tai, whatever, you have Ethan. And then you have 3 slots left, right? And the 2 DPS don't really matter at all. But then you need an AP pusher, because so you get the turn, right? Then you add, for example, an Unis. Could be a Dahlia, could be a Clara, whatever, right? But then you lack the damage output, especially for high PvP, right? Because you have a pusher, then you have Ethan for the utility, for the crit damage, the speed leader to get more speed, and then you only have 2 DPS. And with the current meta, with the tanks, 2 DPS is not enough. You need like 3 to 4 DPS at least. And let's say you don't use a speed lead, you can bring like a Gaius, for example, and then you use whatever DPS else. Like, I don't know. It really doesn't matter, but bring just another DPS, and then you get the extra utility for more speed and the crit damage. But still, then it's not really good enough, because you can think about the crit rate isn't relevant at all. The speed might be good, but also not necessary in that sense, and the crit damage boost of 20% is also not the best, because of one simple reason. Why would you increase the crit damage of 3 of your DPS instead of just bringing another DPS, which is more damage output than getting an extra 20%? And I talk to people, what makes most sense for Ethan at least is that you use some sort of tank composition with him together. Let's say you run something like a Clara, Jinyu Yao, you run a Gap, then you have a Everett, and then the last spot is the Ethan. So with that you need, for example, either Gabby or Clara with your best speed set, so you don't have to run a speed lead and you just use Ethan inside of there, right? Because you get that additional plus 20 speed. So you can, as a tank team, potentially outspeed someone who attacks you with whatever they're using, right? And then you have the Jinyu Yao to strip all that stuff, and Everett as well is just there for the damage. But that's like one of the few examples you can actually use him for PvP. And when I talk about usability for a unit, I always look at the bigger picture. Like, I know, for example, the people who watch my videos are not people who just started the game. They're playing the game for like 6 months plus or so. So they already have a lot of units, right? Not every unit, but you have a lot of different units. And right now it is basically very difficult to fit Ethan into your teams. It doesn't make too much sense because of his AI. It works like this, that when you press the auto button, and actually with him you would like to have him use his S2 first before he uses his S3, but he's programmed in a way that he uses his S3, so he buffs up with everyone with the magical melody and the immunity, and then the rest of your team moves, right? And the other thing is what you're left to do with is just having a skill 2 AO defense break, and you could also use other stuff for that, to be honest. And also depending on what the enemy uses, if they use a Jinyu Yao or something, it gets cleansed anyways immediately, right? So it really doesn't do much. And when you think about it, for all the different content, because everybody has their teams, right? For example, for PvE, like we optimized Kronos, we optimized APAP, Fafnir, right? You have your units for Infinity Tower or Temporal Tower overall. I don't think he has a big use in Sentinel. Yes, you get that plus 20 speed, but that's about it, right? at least for content like Sentinel. It doesn't really do that much. Also, he's completely useless in the DISLYTE lands because you cannot debuff the enemies, and the only thing you're left with is his skill 3, which is max skilled on a 4-turn cooldown. Also his S2s on a 4-turn cooldown maxed out, and basically you gain a 2-turn immunity plus a 20% or plus 20 speed boost. And this skill 1 doesn't do anything, so for DISLYTE he's completely useless. For PvP he has a niche use, we have to figure that out, but I just want to give you my honest opinion. I'm not the type of person who makes a video with a new unit and takes, oh, that new unit is so OP, it's so broken, it's so good, even though it's just a mid unit, right? So I feel like if you're looking for a unit to improve whatever you're doing, if it's PvE or PvP, Ethan is not the unit. Like, for him to be useful, he needs the speed lead. Definitely, he needs 100% the speed lead. Or at least his skill 3 needs to be a golden buff. Because in PvP, even if you have him at R2, right, and the enemy outspeeds you, for example, or whatever, right, they can just use Tricky, they can just bring Fangnusi, and or even Lucas, and they can just strip off your buff and it's gone, and it doesn't do anything for you, right? So that's my main gripe with Ethan. As of right now, I don't think he's that good. He doesn't excel in any content, and for you guys, for the patch coming next week, I will tell you to not pull him immediately. Wait for a bit. Let's see if some sort of a meta develops with Ethan. So it might make sense for you to pull him, but for right now I would say skip him. And also, what else is there to say? Yes, with his resonance, right? Because in his Reso 2 state, he gains that magic melody 1 turn immediately for every team member. It is not a necessity for PvE, at least. For PvP, yes, definitely. But for PvE, he's fine at R0. You don't necessarily need him at R2. I will make a couple more videos talking also about Koharu and Jinhee. But that's all I wanted to say about Ethan for today. And thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye.